Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to GeekVerse podcast. This is Trask Told You. And man, what a raucous couple of days. I said this was going to be a 5-week startup, and who knows in the future. It all depends on how you guys support, but either way, it's been lots of fun. It's been fun covering the big news right away, but it's not been fun from the point of what we're getting. But we got more stuff to talk about. But yes, this is Trask Told You. Not Trask Told You So, Clay. I didn't want that. That's too many letters. Trask Told You So. I don't know. I like the TTY. Just TTY. It's nice, short, but go check out their episode. They did a great episode of Family Clay. There's still background music. I know there is, Clay. This bastard down here. 1, remember when I beat him in Rocket League very handily. 2, I said not Trask Told You So. And 3, it's the transition in the show. If I just come up and just stops right there, you can even see the GeekVerse episode. The music plays over it a little bit. It's different when we're live, but here, let it play over. Let it transition and go into it. My goodness. Your monkey's paw was wishing you had news to cover every day. Yeah, I guess so. I suppose it's right. I fucked us all, didn't I? I said, man, I hope we don't get any days where I have nothing to talk about. And it's funny because Tuesday was almost like that. I had the John Carlos story and a few other rumors, but they're all smaller stuff because it's usually... I like to just GeekVerse. That's why we did the 2 newscasts. There's always multiple things that blow up and everything like that for, right? But if you're doing them daily, it's if I can at least just get one, a trailer, a news story, that's good because that kind of covers the main topic, half an hour. Because as I've said before, that's why I have a segment like the quick hits. I hate podcasters. I hate ones where it's the main topic, you tune in, it's 5 minutes, and then move on next one. It's what? I want a juicy topic, and then maybe one day there will just be a quick hits thing. But yes, this is Trask Told You. Usually I am live every day at 3 p.m., 3 p.m. PST, but that's only happened twice this week. Monday I had to go a lot earlier because I saw Super Pets with the kids, and then this one's also for another podcasting thing. So anytime I change, this is just because, I got to record something else with Taylor coming up, our Padawan review. So that's going to be very exciting, and actually some other stuff's going on. But a lot of things being recorded. Let's see. There's lots of retros coming out right now. All the Predator ones came out. We're going to be reviewing Prey in a few days. The Lord of the Rings ones will be dropping soon. I'm going to be on 2 of the animated ones. The third one, I'll have a little bit of a presence, but I will wait to, you can listen to the Return of the King retrospective to hear what happened with me in that review. So, as Swift says, I just listened to Bullet Train non-spoiler review, and I'm really excited to see it now. Oh, absolutely. We dropped a non-spoilers because we got it. I don't know why this past year, it started a few years ago where we got, funny enough, Shazam, which we're going to talk about. I guess that was just a fan screen, right? But we've gotten a couple Top Gun. I guess that was a fan one as well. But Kelowna usually was not getting early screenings or fan screenings for quite a while. Of course, we didn't get that for the Batman, but we got that with Bullet Train. Won't say much, just go listen. We have a non-spoilers review. It's only 15 minutes, so we don't spoil anything. But I think if you're on the fence, oh, should I see this? Should I skip this? Listen to the review, but get our full thoughts. Blew me away. Can't wait for people to see it. I can't wait to see it again. So yeah, check that out. We'll have a Prey review coming out. Newscast. We'll have GeekVerse News happening next, or tomorrow actually, live 8 p.m. PST. I cannot wait to talk to everybody about this DC stuff. We've talked a little bit about it. I got to see the preview behind the scenes chat. And it's something, and yeah, everything you need to know is in the links down below, how to find us, our video, our audio, our Discord, which is just been popping off these past few days of sorrow, but kind of at least healing one another, and memes. I always appreciate it. I suppose I just saw your tweets of all the bad YouTube thumbnails and stuff like that. I like the one where it was what it is was, DC's in a bad state right now, and it's YouTubers having, or maybe it's one account where it's they have an image what did he do, what's next. I like the one where it's what's his plan, and it's the big kingpin, and it has pointing to him, it's a shadow. Very good for Zaslav. Should have still used what is he cooking, because what the fuck is David Zaslav cooking over there? I don't know, but we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But most importantly, if you want to support us, if you want to keep things going like this daily cast, like extra retrospectives, like side quests, all this stuff, how we've gone from a podcast that did 2 episodes a week to in 1 week, I think it's next week, we have 13 casts coming out. That's because you guys and gals and everyone else in between, as far as the people that listen on the show, yes, but Patreon is the bread and butter. Patreon really helps us support everything. Go check out, it is live now. Our Better Halves, I gotta still even promote that. Whoops. Our Better Halves episode, it's all our girlfriend and wives hosting a podcast together for the very first time. Tons of fun, lots of questions, and you should listen to it. I would definitely subscribe, because next After 9, we're going to have to retort and respond to a few of these claims, and I have some questions for the boys myself as well. But Yeah, and the best way to support us is that, and also in supporting us, you get ad-free episodes, early episodes, and depending which tier, you can get up to 3 exclusive episodes. You get to call in after 9, which that date will be coming this weekend. I think it's next Saturday morning, not confirmed official, but that's likely what's happening. So check that or look out for that. I don't think there's anything else as far as what's going on. Manscaped, 20% off, free worldwide shipping, 20% off. I said that already twice. GVPOD, use that code at manscaped.com. You support our sponsors. You also support us. Speaking of support or lack thereof, yes, like Espo was saying, I wish for news this week, and boy, do we got it. So this is kind of a sequel cast to yesterday, because when I did the Batgirl story, that was about like an hour after it was like coming official and everything like that. So there's been some new stuff now. There's been statements, there's been a big report, and now there's all this other stuff flying and everything. And now I already got my topic for tomorrow, right? As far as the earnings call. Oh boy. So much discussion around that earnings call now after this week. And it's going to be interesting answers, what they say. And they're probably going to play it safe a lot, but I digress. It's going to be lots of fun. So I don't know where to start here. So obviously, to set up, if you're under a rock in this type of fandom, Batgirl has been canceled, not coming out on theaters, not coming to HBO Max, nowhere. It's going to be put away in a nice little locker, I guess, somewhere, waiting for someone to steal. And we'll get into the specifics of that after. But let's get into two statements. We got statements from Warner Brothers, we got statements from the directors, and then we got a new report from Variety, and other people are running with it too. Like, one of the main reasons why they've dipped this, because obviously we've talked about this, where there's, oh, they want just tentpoles as DC, oh, they viewed it wasn't good enough, or oh, they just didn't know how it fit in the continuity. There's been all this stuff, right? And it's all mixed. It's one of these things that if we get a documentary one day, sure, and it's gonna be varying opinions, but as far as the running theory, there's one kind of taking the top to it, and it does make sense as far as, and that's the interesting thing about this topic, right? Because I've talked to a few people that say, oh, this is a good idea, or they should cut their losses, or if they view it's a bad vision, go the other way. I've still yet to hear. I can respect your opinion as long as you're not an asshole. I can respect your opinion. I still have not heard a case yet for me of this being a good idea, as far as just pissing off talent, not and even just fans in general. I still just thought, even without promotion, just drop it on HBO Max. Now we'll get into why, because they might have found a way to get a little money back, but still, and even then, I still don't agree with the opinion that this film would have not made its money back. I still think it would have been personally better to reshoot it, fluff it up a little, put it out. But now there's other stuff about other films, which we're going to talk about, being delayed, where it's like, it's just everything's in flux right now. Other shows, movies getting canceled, stuff like that. So things getting taken off HBO Max. It's just getting gutted right now. And if you think this is a good idea, and you think, oh, Dave Zaslav, he's a businessman, he's finally taking charge, he's stepping up and being the guy to lead DC and Warner Brothers like we haven't had before, I guess you could see that. I just don't think it's a good start. I don't, and like, even just, we'll get into like killing HBO Max, which is apparently happening. Like, sure, he's definitely, I guess, taking a route, and he's leading Warner Brothers to a new era. I just think how we're doing it and how we're getting there will not be good in the long run. And I don't know if I agree with people that go, oh, in 2 years we're going to be selling again. But hey, it's fucking happened to AT&T, all this stuff. So I don't know. But yeah, so we got the delays, or sorry, not even delays. We got the cancellation Batgirl, unfortunately. I'm waiting for Leslie Grace, not because I'm trying to be like, oh, I want to know what she says. I'm just interested to hear what she says, because the directors, at least, they took, and I guess I'll start with them, because let's start on a positive, right? Because they were, I will definitely say, like a class act about it. They were a lot better than you really even needed to be, in my opinion, because actually, I guess I'll start with Warner Brothers' statement, because in my opinion, it was not the greatest. It wasn't bad, but I thought it was kind of a slap in the face of, here we go. The decision not to release Batgirl reflects on our leadership strategic shift as it relates to the DC Universe and HBO Max. Leslie Grace is an incredibly talented actor, and this decision is not a reflection on her performance. We are incredibly grateful for the filmmakers of Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Hunt and the respective casts, and we hope to collaborate with everyone again in the near future. To me, I just thought that it's a safe face when I'm like, oh, we're just looking at a different direction, and really, they're not going to come out and say we want to just save money, which I guess that's what it is. But it's just like, it feels insensitive in the way of, one, I think they're shouting at Leslie Grace because they just know that it's going to get a lot of talk of, you're canceling a film that has a woman that's a person of color in it, and that's already gotten a lot of talk of, hey, like, not a good look. And they're right, oh, Leslie's great, because they don't really tell the directors. They just throw the cast and crew, That's about it. And to me, it's just the whole. I think if you are taking, and of course, sure, they get paid, and of course, it is at the end of the day, David Zaslav and Discovery, they spent billions of dollars to get this right. So technically, they have every right to do this. Technically, if I hire someone to record a podcast, and there's something I don't like about something bad, I could say, you know what? I'm not putting this on GeekVerse. It's mine. I mean, that's a lot of hard work. Now, I would not want to go that route, but I understand, things happen in life. To me, this is just not one of these things that happens in life. To me, the things happen in life would be the Flash thing, which we'll get into. Like, oh, if they cancel Flash, they felt, we can't do this. We can't pull this off successfully. Obviously, there's a lot more play there, and there's a lot more play here as well. So the thing is, I just think they could have been a bit more. Sure, it's a statement, and sure, maybe it still will read as bullshit, but just a bit more sympathetic to end it with that. We're looking forward to working with them in the near future. I don't know. It just sounds like a classic. It's not you, it's me breakup. But I don't know. Just talk more about the directors. Talk more about, hey, it's very unfortunate. This is the route we have to go. Our business is ever changing. It's rapid. Even talk about how we're still recovering from decisions or maybe losses of the previous regimes. And there's just some choices we have to do. We feel terrible that we have to do this to these talented people that have worked for years. It's just such a simple, like, Leslie Grace is great. And the rest of you, we're really sorry about that, but we can't wait to work again. It's a very, like a boss mentality of just, and of course, as a boss, you got to be that way. But I feel like we've all had experiences where you've worked for a good boss and you've worked for an asshole boss. And that's the thing where this feels like an asshole boss, right? And now everyone's just having a fun old time with Zaslav and quotes, because now they're tying things back to what he said about Trump and things about like how he's a big supporter of that and everything has to be Republican, which I'm not trying to make political, but still, like, you could see a certain mind frame, the whole him hiring his new board and creative teams, as far as it's like, I think 13 white dudes and all like all this stuff where it's like, it's just not piling. So even if, and I'm not going to say this, but even if Zaslav wasn't racist, and even if he was just like, this was just really, they picked one movie to get rid of, all the signs point to, hey, this is not a good look for you. This is like, it doesn't matter what you say in retrospective. There's all these signs now, right? So, man, Pickens says DC stay fumbling a bag. Marvel's going to pick her up. Maybe. I'm not sure if they will. Who knows? Obviously, like, I'm not saying she's bad actors or anything. It all depends on that. But I think the directors are more likely just because they've worked with her. But you could have the reverse where the directors go over there and they bring her with them, or do something to cast her and things because it's just, we know how talented she is. I think those directors definitely will. And to move to the directors, where, like I said, to me, that is just it's just a thank you next statement from Warner Brothers or WBD, right? So you get the directors to put out here, Adi Al Abri and Billy Valle. I hope I'm saying that right, but the guys that did Bad Boys for Life and everything like that just handle it like a lot better than even they could have come out swinging and it would have been fine, but that's what you do in Hollywood. You play the game, but still, I thought they're playing the game pretty well because this is a tough point, and maybe stuff like podcast interviews will definitely come in the future, and they'll probably have a bit more words to say, but it's for what the situation is and how shitty it is. And I know that's where people go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. They hire them to do a job. They got paid. That's it. It's still like, if you believe in the passion of filmmaking and whatnot, yeah, you can have the idea of, yes, it is business. All this business, this week proves all these products are businesses. Technically, would never happen. Technically, Feige could do the same thing, right? But that's the thing where it's like, okay, they're just products to a lot of people. But still, if you take the money side and just the art side, it's such a blow. So the directors say, we are saddened and shocked by the news. We still can't believe it. As directors, it is critical that our work is to be shown to audiences. And while the film was far from finished, we wish fans all over the world would have the opportunity to see and embrace the final film themselves. Maybe one day they will. Nisha Ali. I we'll talk about if they will, because that's tough. Our amazing cast and crew did a tremendous job and worked so hard to bring Batgirl to life. We are forever grateful to those who have been a part of the team. It was a dream to work with such fantastic actors like Michael Keaton, J.K. Simmons, Brendan Fraser, Jacob Skippy, Corey Johnson, Rebecca Font, and especially the great Leslie Grace, who portrayed Batgirl with so much passion, dedication, and humanity. In any case, as huge fans of Batman since we were little kids, it was a privilege and an honor to be part of the DCEU, even if it was for a brief moment. Batgirl for life. Which people are gonna love that. Fan of Batman since kids, like, oh, you're directing Batgirl, but it's like, get the idea. If you love Batman, you move over there. Really good statement, really nice statement. Not that it's a big thing to read into, but it's just so funny where it says it to have been part of. Like it sounds very past tense, and I do believe it's past tense. That they could have posted "fuck DC" and everyone would agree with them 100%. Right? They could have, and everyone would not have been mad. Even we talked about it yesterday, right? Other studios were like, "What the fuck is Warner Brothers doing with this move?" It's not anything people would have been mad about. Even other studios would have understand 100%. Tons of studios and creatives would have understand. Sorry, bad time to drink there. The same way when that HBO Max thing happened, right? And I talked with some people about Twitter of like, I think this is worse than the HBO to the films and everything because that was not a well thought out move, but they're still pushing these films out. They should have talked to them before, but then also they still pay them after. I think this is a lot more sketchier. So yeah, I just not great statement by Warner Brothers, great statement by the directors. And like I've said before, that I am not even the biggest fan of Miss Marvel. I think it's fine. Bad Boys for Life, I think it's fine. I'm not the biggest fan of these guys as far as their work. I haven't absolutely loved it. But man, I hope they get something good and a big gig and just something they're really happy with. And that's why I do want them to go to MCU or just hopefully a dream project that work out. The only reason I say MCU is because they had been there before. It worked out. Seemed like it was a good relationship. Do it again. Let them have a crack at a big character and people, I speak from minority. People fucking love Miss Marvel, and so many people talk about how they loved Bad Boys for Life, and felt like I was missing out the party. Like, yeah, okay, like it's good, it's fine, but I don't think it's this great thing everyone's talking about. But clearly, the general audience likes them, so rock with them. So I wish those guys the best. Just a shitty situation overall. But let's read. This is why Warner Brothers killed Batgirl inside the decision not to release the DC movie. This was from Variety yesterday, and this is again Variety put this out first, but then a lot of people have been running this with according to their sources, but. To read a little bit, blah, 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 blah. Why they just give a whole, like, it has all this stuff, Michael Keaton, blah, blah, blah. Why would they throw it all away? According to sources with knowledge of the situation, it's most likely taxes. Several sources noted that Batgirl, made under a different regime at Warner Brothers, headed by Jason Clark and Sarnoff, was significantly focused on building the streaming service for HBO Max. That effort included Clark's infamous decision to release the studio's entire slate of last year simultaneously on streamer and theatrical, which helped build the subscriber base, but also jeopardized the studio's reputation for top-tier talent, though many agents and stars privately came to appreciate the move when the company paid a generous bonuses to make it nice. Well, no fucking shit. That was, we talked about this, right? We got in a big debate this, I think it was when Greg was on, and we talked about this a lot on a Marvel Alliance episode where, it's like they say Scarface, you don't fuck with the money, right? And it's just, that was the idea that, yeah, there's people like Nolan for sure that were, this is my art, I want it this way, I want it that way, like, please do it this way, we agreed upon this. And whether you agree with his methods or not, there's a few people that were for the art of it, right? Most of them were just like, hey, what about my fucking money? And once they got that, okay, cool, do what you want there. And apparently that did hurt them. So even before Zaslav took the reins of the newly formed Warner Bros. Discovery as COO this spring, the exec went on the well-publicized listening tour designed to repair the company's tour relationship with the creative community. Yeah, that's fucking great. Yeah, sure. Because I remember that was the big thing, right? We want to get back to our creatives and talk to them. And it's like, how this started months ago was him talking about Clint Eastwood and like, fuck Clint Eastwood. What? It doesn't matter. It's not show friends, it's show business. And now you have this. I don't think he's doing a great job of fixing that relationship. As part of that effort, Zaslav has made no secret of revising Clark's strategy and committing to releasing first-run feature films in the theaters before putting them on Max. And this is where it gets a little interesting. Batgirl found itself on the bad end of the decision, apparently neither big enough to feel worthy for a major theatrical release, nor small enough to make economic sense in an increasingly cutthroat streaming landscape. Spending the money to expand the scope of Batgirl for theaters, plus the 30 to 50 million needed to market it domestically, and then tens millions needed for the global route, could have nearly doubled the spending on the film. And that's why when we talk about, right, like this is like a 90, let's say it's a $70 million movie. It was back to 70, 90, but let's say it's 70 million. If you're spending 30 to 50 on just the marketing here in the States or the North America, I should say, and then it's like tens to millions for the global rollout, that's where we always say, like, to make a profit, you want to be hitting those because they still look at that. I don't care. Like, they go, okay, we spent the 70 here, but now it might be like 70, 90 to promote the thing. And I'm not saying they should have done that. I still think you could have. I said this yesterday. if the budget overall together was at 189 million or 80 million, I still think it could have made it back, but alas, we're never going to know that. Could have nearly doubled the spending on the film, and insiders say that was a non-starter at the company, newly focused with belt tightening and the bottom line. Let's see here. This last thing, releasing the movie on HBO Max would seem like the most obvious solution. Instead, the company has shelved Batgirl along with Scoop, and this is not an article, but also just little stuff like they're taking stuff off the streaming service, which we're going to talk about in a second, like movies and whatnot. And I'll bring it up. Actually, I'll save that for, it's kind of stuck in between both worlds there because I'm going to talk about the HBO Max stuff, but that is... There's movies and stuff that they feel didn't do good enough that are lumped in this. They're taking them off HBO Max and they're lumped in this group of people here. So you have Batgirl, those films, and the Scoop sequel, and several sources say it'll almost certainly take a tax write-down on both films, seen internally as the most financially sound way to recoup costs, at least on the accounts ledger. It could justify by chalking up the post-merger strategy. Now, I listened to DC Alliance yesterday. Great cast. Go check them out. I was on the other side of Clay when he said he thought it was BS with this one. I don't think it's BS, and I especially don't now, because if it was just Batgirl, yes. Now, I'm not saying why did they pick Batgirl. That's a whole different thing. But I do think it is a money thing, and I do think they look at it as it's small tier, not worth it. It's even if it made a profit, if it was made a 50 million profit, it's like, not going to happen. But they got the nerve to release Shazam 2. Oh, we'll talk about that. But I don't think it's BS because not only is Batgirl getting that, Scoob's getting that little Ellen show's getting that, and then there's a few, I think it was like 6 to 8 films on HBO Max that's also getting this whole thing where they're going to pull them off and do a tax write-down. And the whole thing was they have till mid-August to do this, probably for like financial bookings and times and everything like that. So I think it's true. Now, I don't think it's a good idea for all of it, but at the end of the day, like if you jump into their mind trying to play devil's advocate, if they look at these products and feel we can make the money, this is the best way to do it. Again, I feel the back end of that is you're fucking over a lot of creators. And that's where it's like, well, is that worth it? Or should we just try to promote this stuff and get back what we can? And that's where we go, okay, is that something that we want to do? And here's the thing. Nikita says, I think I heard test screenings for Batgirl were disastrous and it could hurt DC and the Batman brand if they release it. I'm very mixed on that because sure, so test screenings came out a while back ago, and there's another article we're going to talk about. If they're disastrous, well, they're releasing Shazam, and guess what? There's a report, Hollywood Reporter just put out today that Shazam's testing the same as Shazam's testing the same as Shazam. Shazam 2's testing the same as Batgirl. So if this is another offer film, what are you going to do? You're going to release that? And that's where I kind of call BS. I don't believe the whole quality thing. I think that is Zaslav giving that to scoopers, giving that to people's sources to put that out there. So everybody goes, oh, it was going to be a fucking disaster film. It was going to be awful. So perfect example. And I'm somebody that couldn't believe when it happened. Look at the Snyder Cut. We heard all the time, hey, oh, it was unwatchable. It was awful. Even worse than like Joss Whedon came in and he made it even better. We got the Snyder Cut, and maybe you would disagree, but we got the Snyder Cut and I was like, this is immensely better. And it was not unwatchable. So WB back in the past put out those rumors of, hey, the Snyder Cut, you don't want to see it because it's pretty bad. Same thing's happening here. Zaslav is putting it out to the little birds out there to be like, and maybe it wasn't, I'm not saying it was going to be the greatest film of all time and everything like that, but, and yes, Nikita, that's what they went on the scales, and right now in a test audience score, I'll get into it when we talk about our next topic, but there's all these listings, and it was scoring somewhere in like the 60s to 70s, and Flash was like the 70s to 80s. Shazam 2 was same thing, 60s, 70s. So that's where it's like, I call BS because it's like, if it was so bad and it's going to hurt the brand, and you could say, oh yeah, it's Batman, but still, if it's going to hurt the DC brand, then if Shazam's testing the same as Batgirl, you have no excuse to not be putting that out, or to put that out. It's like, no, you should kill that too then. Oh, we already marketed, we already spent it. It's going to hurt DC, let's not do it. So I call bullshit. And that's the reason I call bullshit is because when we got the test screenings before all this cancellation talk, there was most people not saying it was amazing, but saying other than the Keaton stuff being a bit confusing, there wasn't like, oh, this was awful. Oh, it tested so bad. We've heard that about Black Adam, not saying it should be like killed, reshot, everything, but we've heard that like Black Adam's not tested great, right? Where we're Flash, we did hear it tested great. Batgirl was like, it was testing, I feel like, at a 7 out of 10 range. And you know what? That's not a fucking bad thing. Someone's going to love that 7 out of 10 film. And a 7 out of 10 film, fucking Transformers, which never got any 7 out of 10s in my opinion. It's like, there's films that are much worse. Look at the fucking, I'm not saying I would have done this either. Look at Suicide Squad 2016. That is a god-awful movie. Go back to when we reviewed it. People have revisionist history now because they know about the Ayer cut. They're like, yeah, I always knew something was up. No, you didn't. I had to sit back and listen to so many people talk about, oh, no, it's great. It's so good. It's just like different. You just don't get it. It's different flavor than Marvel. It's just your Marvel bias. And now it's like, oh, yeah, fuck 2016 Suicide Squad. No, that movie was awful from day one. That thing went on to make like $700 to $800 million. That piece of garbage film that was chopped to shit by a trailer company went and made all that money. So you couldn't tell me that Batgirl could be a breakout hit. Do I know that for sure? Absolutely not. It could come out bomb and then Zaslav could look like a genius, right? But we'll never know. And that's why he kind of avoids that and everything like that. So it's tough. And we're going to get in that Shazam stuff later and everything. But with this tax write down, I do believe this because now they're taking other things. I just don't think this is one they should have. I think they could have, but now with what's going to happen with some of these delays and stuff that could be playing in it, the entire DC universe and Warner Bros. Is just in flux right now. It's all over the map. So let's take our first ad break because we're going to talk about those next two things as far as Oh, sorry, I got an update. I'm always getting updates during cast and fucking discussing films. It was like Garfield 2 got announced. It's like Garfield 2 starring Chris Pratt and Joker 2 will be released the same day. And for a second I read as Chris Pratt had joined Joker 2 and I was like, holy fucking shit, what's going on? That would be wild. But no, that's not happening. So don't worry. That's not real news. But let's take our first ad break. And then we're going to talk about some of we got a few dates and rumored dates going on right now with Shazam, Aquaman, and even Joker 2. So we will be right back. And we're back. Let's see. Nikita says DC and Warner Bros. Was just trying to cut their losses. He felt it would hurt their future films and brands if they released it. And that's where I had a similar conversation with somebody. Agree to disagree. I don't think so. I think it is just the taxing and they could save money. It's two things which I agree with. It's the taxing to save money, or it is a legit just power move. It's just like I didn't do this film. I don't really believe in it that much. I could try to fix it, but fuck it. I'm gonna drop trow and show everybody I'm the guy running around. So you can believe that. I don't personally believe it would have. There's been so much worse. Like, we had Batman and Robin, and then years later we got Batman Begins, which led to The Dark Knight. Everyone forgets the problems when everyone wins. That's like all you have to do is the same thing of like, look at fucking Justice League 2017. That hurt the brand. That sucked. That was a big like gray spot on the record of DC films, right? You open up this film with Henry Cavill and you got this fucking mustache going on, bad CGI. Not good. But what happened? The next film they released the next year, Aquaman, made $1 billion, became their biggest film of all time. So I don't personally buy that. And if whoever wants to, great. But I don't buy it at all that one film was going to take down Warner Brothers and it'd be over. No, I don't think so. That's why, especially too, just dropping on Max with very little marketing. Just don't market that much. And sure, that would suck, but you get some legs out of it. I'm not saying a bunch of subscribers would have jumped on, but at least you keep some creatives happy and other people in the outlook and being like, what the fuck's going on over there? And speaking of what the fuck's going on over there, my God. So after that today, it was kind of like an hour or so before I went live. There was an article that came out for Variety, Variety that, so, and there was actually two because there was a Deadline one and this one, but let's start with Shazam and Aquaman because that kind of ties to the Flash stuff, right? Or Flash and Batgirl. So they just say expect lots of like announcements, and not announcements like fucking Henry Cavill as Superman. Not that. Expect lots of updates and maybe little things like a date to more of these earnings call because they could shift some things before that to kind of get their ducks in a row. The rumors going around right now is that they're looking at delaying Shazam and they're looking at delaying Aquaman. Now, what makes this interesting is they're looking at delaying Shazam, right? So, and to me, I was speaking about that yesterday, and this is where however you feel about Zaslav and whatnot now, and I'm not excited to even talk about the Joker 2 stuff. I was like, ugh, man. Like, and I fucking love Joker. I love Batman, but it's just like, I'm just like, ugh, it's just such a bummer because like it's hard to really invest and get excited, even though I believe Joker 2 will happen. But it's like, oh, what a bummer day. But either way, it is a smart move, whatever you want to say, to get Shazam away from December. That's a stupid slot. Not specifically December, just the Avatar 2 week after slot. That's stupid. So whether it's him or whoever it is on his team that says if they do that, that is a smart move. Whatever you want to say, and that's why it's not all. You can't just say every decision they do is dumb. Is the same thing as like the guy who runs $1 billion career, so he'll make some sense. He might be an asshole. He might, like some people are throwing out the racist claims and stuff like that. He could be all these things, right? But at the end of the day, he's smart enough to be successful, and he's smart enough to do some decisions, and that's where it's like, okay, the Shazam 2 thing, that makes sense. And let's see, all in the game says incredibly ballsy or monumentally naive to open Shazam 2 5 days after Avatar. I would say the naive part. I think they just look at it as like, well, lots of movies make money at Christmas, but you also could just have one movie get that money where it's like a very anticipated sequel. So I said that yesterday in all midst of this, like, this is dumb. They got to push the entire slate down. And that's the rumors that Shazam could take a February, March date. Now, what's interesting was I thought, okay, like I pitched yesterday, you move Shazam to February, March, Aquaman to June, and then Flash in November, where it originally was like a couple years ago, right? Well, the funny thing is, what happens is people just report that, but then Grace, who, you know, whatever you want to say about Grace Randolph, she was one of the earlier people that did say this cancellation was happening. It went New York Post, New York Post, Umberto, and then Grace. Because I think as much as they funny enough don't like each other, I think Grace and Umberto have similar sources, so they just got at the same time, or a similar time. So she said that she was hearing, and someone else had heard this too. I think it was Viewer Non. I'll bring it up because he has some comments that you would have Aquaman move to December 2023. I don't know, man. Ladies, they, them, every aliens, dogs, cats, everybody that lives on this planet. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what is going on over there. Because it's just so that means, and this is where, so I'll pull up the quotes here. I'll pull up the tweets from everybody here as far as Viewer Non. And these are more of the C tier, like almost B tier screws, but still they were saying some stuff. So he was saying, it was Big Screen Leaks and Viewer Non. Those are two. I'm hearing that internally the Flash is currently undated. WBD is trying to figure out how to best go forward amid all the controversy. I'm also hearing that shelving this one is an option due to the high budget and importance of the DCEU moving forward. It's testing quite well too. I've heard from a few people the scores are in the 70s, which is pretty solid. And that's where I mentioned before, Shazam is getting similar scores to Batgirl, as like a 60s and stuff like that. So you can see the tier range, right? And then Viewer Non chimed in and then said, I heard this as well about The Flash. For reference, test screening audiences usually grade a movie as excellent, very good, good, fair, or poor. The score is the percentage of the attendees has been either excellent or very good. Which, fuck. So you have a movie where it's a high budget, and that makes sense. I don't think the Batgirl thing makes sense, but if you come to me, Travis Snell, and you say, hey, we either have to take a $70 to $90 million loss or a $200 million plus loss, I'm gonna say, yeah, you take the Batgirl one. On paper, that's what makes sense, right? Even though Ezra has all these issues, it's still a big crossover film as far as multiple characters. You're introducing your Supergirl. You got Ben Affleck in there. You got Michael Keaton. Lots of potential. I do think it has potential to hit $1 billion because lots of people aren't going to even fucking know about this drama, right? It's just us. It's going to be the hardcore fans that love this to the day we die, and that sucks for us. The other people might not even knew there was a Batgirl film made, you know? So they'll hear about, like, oh, yeah, really? Okay, I can't believe they did that. And then they move on with their day, you know? So Aquaman in December, that's what it made sense, because before it's like, oh, why is Affleck shooting these scenes? Are we just going back to, it's going to happen after Flash, and then Keaton's going to be the end credit again, or in the scenes or the movies? But no, I do believe that they shot Affleck in the intention of using him. If they brought Affleck in to shoot some scenes and they don't use that, what a fucking waste of money. And they really have no idea what they're doing. And at some points, I feel like we all feel like, yeah, they actually don't know what they're doing. But the thing is, so if that does make sense, but if it's undated, so you're telling me if Aquaman moves to December of next year, so either that means the Flash stays in June, and then it's just, we shot those Affleck scenes for nothing, which I don't agree with. Or we're moving the Flash to 2024. Oh my God. Like, and I don't mean to be crass. I don't mean to have a half empty type of glass sort of thing. But, and whatever you feel about the Ben Affleck Batman, Keaton Batman, Keaton has nothing to do with this. He's just a guy. We've talked about this before. He doesn't care about the continuity. He doesn't care about the bigger worlds or the universes. He just wanted to play fucking Batman again. And man, if we get to a point where this movie comes out and for some reason, because he's an older gentleman, but if he were to pass away or something and he never got to, as the term is, get his flowers, especially because like all these test screens have been like, yeah, everyone fucking really loves Keaton in this movie. So it's just like that way where he's like, the reason I took it was the writing of the script was good and I want to see if I could do it. To get that, the fans kind of be like, yeah, you still got it, man. You're still fucking Batman. And if he's not here around for that, I am never going to fucking forgive this company on like a first world level. Like, man, you guys botched that. And if we have to wait till 2024, my God. And I think it is possible because I think there's two chances. Either if there's some reason they're carrying on this universe, they have time to swap some things around, but I don't think it's that. I do think I am leaning more towards it being just fully rebooted, and the only thing they could change is a reworking of the ending to be a final cut closed chapter. You know, because we had even heard rumors and minor spoilers for Flash, like, oh, there might even be like a thing where they set up Ben Affleck for more films or more appearances. Like, not like it's one of these things where he could come back, but he doesn't have to. It's a thing where maybe they'll take that out and they're just taking time, you know. And I did say before that they're going to take time. I still believe that. I just thought, oh, take time and release all these movies. But now it's like, no, they're going to take time, but also just keep pushing it back, keep kicking the can down the road. Like all these things of like, that's where it's so weird because their action show, half the action show we want to reboot, and the other action show, well, we don't, or we're doing things that don't make sense for that. Because it's like, if you want to reboot, just get these fucking films out here, even if they bomb or not, and do it clean slate, do your new Justice League stuff, recast everybody. Okay, great, happen. But why? I guess maybe the other thing what you could do is if Blue Beetle's good to go and has loose ties, you could put Blue Beetle in that summer slot and think, let's hope that it happens. So I still think Flash is going to be 2024, which is just fucking ridiculous if it is. But I could see if they're reworking stuff, and the controversy thing too, that does help to push some time away, to maybe talk with Ezra, see how they're doing, see if they can get their ducks in a row, stuff like that. But man, what a brutal thing if that happens in the next few days. Enough people it's like Batgirl, where it's a little whispers again, where it's like, I wish it was being kicked down the road because of, you know, to try and help box office wise. It might be, but I don't know why Aquaman's a whole year then. You know, it's just, it's so weird. You have directors that have worked on these films years and years ago finally talking about them, and I don't think there's gonna be a fandom now if that gets delayed, because like you don't have much to promote other than just Shazam and Black Adam again, maybe. So, and then Joker 2. Man, Joker 2. Oh, what's going on, chat here? Super Mike, isn't there an Avatar coming out every December for the next few years? Yeah, you guys talked about it. Every other Christmas. They're switching off between Star Wars and Avatar. If Star Wars can get its house in a row. I felt like DC was trying to claim March as their big release window since they put Batman there. Yeah, and if they move Aquaman off, sorry, Shazam's not a big release. The first one, I know people always go, oh, it's still a success. It is, and I'm not saying you should have made two. As I talked about yesterday, I think it's so sad that under this regime, things like Batgirl, or more importantly, what I think is the best DCU movie, like Birds of Prey, that sounds like it's never going to happen again under this regime as far as these smaller, just character-driven pieces or just smaller adventures. It has to be big, world-ending, huge CGI, and that's always makes me worry about the Batman. Thank God we got the Batman. I hope we get the Batman too, but nothing's set in stone. And Shazam, I think I'm happy it's on the roster. I just don't think that is a big March release, you know? So... But Joker 2, that got dated today, so it's going to be October 24th, 2022. I think they said it's like the same day that the first one came out just years ago later. There was, I think, Deadline put it in one of their articles of like the reason went out there is to try to distract some conversation, and it's like, what? There's nothing to distract. This is like, other than, okay, cool, we have a date. We knew this already. It's the same. It's Joker. What is it? De La Feu. It's still Harley Quinn is in talks, or Lady Gaga is still in talks for Harley Quinn. There was nothing new. There was nothing juicy. So it's like, if you had something like remember with Ray Fisher, and that was all happening, and eventually they just stopped. But eventually it was just like, or how it started was they had announced like Ben Affleck coming back, and all these things. They had announced like big trailers and things like that. Joker 2 getting a date doesn't do much for me, and I'm a big fan of Joker 2. It's just like, okay, cool, you're making it. We know you're making it. The director posted pictures of a script. I would assume by now this is a go, right? I think this is a go. I think this one is because it was nominated for Oscars. It was cheap, and Zazoff probably just looks like, goes, well, it's cheap. And I guess and that's where it's difficult, right? Where it's like they want big tentpole films, but at the same time, you're going to greenlight Joker 2, which I agree with. And I guess and maybe this is the only reason why he sees it as a tentpole is because, well, the first one made $1 billion, right? So maybe if we were in a world where Batgirl came out and that made $1 billion, and then we got a Batgirl 2, maybe we wouldn't stop that. So, but you look at Joker, that has like equivalent, same round budget like Batgirl did, but I guess they just look at Batgirl and go, oh, this couldn't make it. This couldn't make that money, and I think it could at least be profitable, but doesn't matter. That's not happening anymore, so... And then the other tidbit that was dropped was that Joker 2, because there's like a plot leak of, and I'm fine to say about Joker 2 because it seems like it's completely false as more people talk about it, of like him escape. He wouldn't spend much time in Arkham. He would escape, and it was like him versus Lady Gaga, who wasn't even playing Harley, and they're in like this murdering spree together. Now there's been like a rap put it out, and I think there's a few other people that kind of said like, yeah, it's heard similar things that most of the movie takes place in Arkham Asylum. Again, I'm a fan of Arkham Asylum. I'm a fan of Joker 2. It all sounds good for me. I always thought when we talk about Joker 2 and it being a musical, Arkham Asylum is like the set, the place to put it, right? That makes just complete sense. Now I know we're dealing with a studio right now that's not making complete sense, but for the story of Joker to Joker 2, Arkham Asylum fits. I'm happy with that. I will be excited once we get there. It just takes a little time where, I don't know, it just... it's going to take a little like a bit of a mourning period and everything like that, right? So we'll see what happens. Maddie says, considering its success, do you think we'll get Batman 2 sooner rather than later? Maybe 2025. Well, the writer said like, oh, we're going to get it at least within 5 years. I hope we get it. Again, that's what happens is Azoff looks and they just go, 800 million, Batman could have done better. Or, oh, this budget, it's, I don't know if it's big enough. It has to get bigger and be a bigger event film. Or, oh, it's too much a detective. Or it is too small. I don't know. I do think if you were to ask me, is it going to happen? Yes. But, because the good thing is the Batman 2 got announced while they were in the Zaslav era, right? He announced that he greenlighted it. Was at the upfronts where Matt Reeves came out. I was like, oh, we're making Batman 2. So that's why I do believe that's happening. Here's the rephrasing. I believe that's their intention for it to happen. If it actually happens, like I said, what if Matt Reeves and this new creatives, they don't get along either and he's out, So it's like, I believe that is their all intention. And I do think it will happen. It's just a question of anything's on the table and anything can go off that table, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow with GeekVerse as far as some things where it's like, there's certain movies like even like Wonder Woman 3. I don't know if that's on a table or not anymore, so I don't know. It's interesting. Maddie Six says, I feel like it keeps trimming the fat, so maybe they start pushing to get Batman done sooner. Maybe it's just a personal wish. Yeah, of course I want more Batman, but I think, again, it just all depends where the chips fall in the next couple months and everything. It just says that Matt Reeves working on the script. What I'm more concerned about, not more, Batman 2 is the goal, but I'm also concerned about the shows and if those are still going to happen. That I don't really know, but Joker 2 looks like it's happening October 24th, 2024, so 2 years away. I will be excited once we get there. If all proposed, the musical, Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn, all sounding great. I am excited. It's just like still in that bummer phase. Like, okay, yeah, it's just you can't trust the studio yet, but we will see. So let's take another ad break, and then we're going to talk about HBO Max now. HBO Max not looking too hot right now, so we will be right back. And we're back. So excuse me for one moment because I got to pull up this article. I had it earlier as far as it was a wrap, and then some other places put out as far as so. Yesterday there were some reports. I think Grace was the first one that put it out there as far as some things that could be happening with HBO Max and it kind of going around. So speculation is on fire around HBO Max's future, planned layoffs in majority of streaming shakeup. So actually I'm just going to read like the bullet points here that Discussing Film gave us because I think they kind of covered it. I don't want to get in the whole article. I should have had it aside before. But sounds like they're not doing HBO Max scripted shows anymore with HBO Max taking over. So less scripted shows overall, says one company insider. Sounds like they're not doing scripted shows. There was a rumor that they're going to be laying off 70% of their staff or something like that with HBO Max. A long list of more original movies and TV shows will be removed from HBO Max soon. That's what we're talking about, movies and shows that were not performed well that they might try to get a write-off on. Content being targeted for removals includes TV shows and movies that are performing well or not performing well but have the opportunity to be a partial tax write-off. And pretty much what we talk about this again, but it just seems like that's why I said like Grace and Umberto might have similar sources because she put that out, and then the Rat put that out today, and other people talk about it as far as that might happen on the call where HBO Max is going to lose scripted TV or majority of it. It's going to somehow get folded with Disney Plus or Discovery Plus, and most of the stuff might just go to HBO channel. And that the whole streaming versus theatrical and whatnot, it's a debate that's going to be going for the past few years, right? Because we've seen the high highs like Netflix and other streaming services where they can go, but then you've seen the lows of like Netflix starting to lose money and subscriptions, right? Even though they're at like 560 million subscribers, it's like, well, you're going down, and you don't want to be going down in Hollywood, right? Because if you're going down, you're not going up. And if you're not going up, you're not getting more money. You know, even if you're getting the baseline money, that's not good enough. It has to be more and more and more. So I guess, and that we talked about this in the previous story, right? Where it's like, it sounds like whatever Kalar want to do and Sarnoff, which again, we all had problems with some things they did right and said, especially with as far as the those statements after the Snyder Cut thing. They had the idea that they wanted to push out streaming, and because like they very valued streaming, that's why we're gonna make some movies and stuff for HBO Max. Where am I on the streaming argument? I'm very much in the middle. I'm somebody that always wants theaters. I always, for the most part, if there was a theatrical release, I'm gonna see that because I prefer that experience. I love being in the theaters. It is my bread and butter. But if it has to be streaming, I also watch and everything like that. Or, you know, if there's an option, and I'm always for the option. That's fine with me. I'm always for the option because there's definitely some movies I would want to do anything like that. But here's a Zaslav quote from Family Clay. Scripted drama, please. It's like a kid's soccer game. Everyone saw something that worked and started chasing the ball. It's way too expensive. April Darkness, Patreon producer for us, says, I can't believe they let that guy be in charge with an attitude like that. Well, that's the thing, April. Once you got the money, no one has to let you be in charge. He just takes the charge, right? Because he just buys the shit and he buys people and all this thing. And yeah, I'm not I'm not happy with the future. If you're asking me as far as Zaslav's plan, so far Kalar and Ansarnov's plan, I think 100% it was dumb for her to come and say the Snyder Cut thing is over. We're moved past on. We're doing different things. That was shitty. That was also dumb. But now in retrospect, it was definitely the lesser of two evils because I wanted more Snyder Universe, but if we didn't get it, oh well, we'll move on. We'll get something else. Snyder's on Netflix. It sucks, but this is what we're doing. Now with this and Zaslav, I don't know. that quote that Clay had, other quotes out there, but it sounds like they don't want streaming. And I don't know, like I said, where I am as far as, you know, I didn't think the whole move last year was great to put every film on HBO Max. I think some of the moves were good. You could have done like 6 months and then reassess. So I thought Kalar made some mistakes, and obviously he paid for them. They got sold and bought again. And I think Zaslav is going to make some mistakes, and we'll have to see if they get sold and bought again, if it's just a whole fucking cycle going on. But it sounds like as far as Zaslav, doesn't matter what I think. I think there's a happy medium between the two. And I think Netflix is kind of, you've seen the woes of that as the binge model's not working. Their, 1 week release in theaters not really working. I think they're going to change things up. They got the ad things going. I do think, and even though people are going to say I'm biased, but I do think that Disney Plus is doing it pretty well. And Paramount Plus not too bad, but I think Disney Plus is having a good combination of, you're getting stuff theatrical. It's a shortened window, so we're putting it like light years on Disney Plus today, but then you're still getting tons of original content. Is it just IP stuff from what they bought? Yeah, but that's what they fucking bought. So it's like, why wouldn't they do Star Wars and Marvel, the yin yang, right? But I think with HBO Max, the thing that sucks is because I do believe, I don't know if it would have been the Netflix killer or this or that, but they have the best of both worlds, because Disney Plus, and obviously it might combine with Hulu one day, and we got Stars here in Canada, but it is a bit more family centric. They're testing the waters, but Disney Plus, at least in America, Canada, we have Stars, so it's just like Hulu and Disney Plus together. But over America, it is more just brand driven. It's Disney, Pixar, Stars, and Marvel, and that's a big fan base, and you're always going to have subscribers that always make money off that. So you'll be fine with that. But how much do you grow? That's tough because you can't do stuff that's out of the box. HBO Max is something you could have for everybody, because you could have your hit shows and like well populated, like Game of Thrones, Succession, and Euphoria. Like you look at, who knows what happens with the Game of Thrones shows, but that was a massive phenomenon that just came in, I think, near the back end of HBO Max, or was it even before? So it's like, what if the prequel, that Jon Snow show, just pops off? And again, I guess it's on HBO channel, but it's like you could have that on the streaming service. Euphoria is a fucking event every Sunday. It's like the Super Bowl. And then you get the best of both worlds, where you can have films, you could have these prestige TV dramas, but then also your superhero GA IP stuff between Harry Potter and Warner Brothers, Peacemaker, Harry Potter show, all this stuff, right? But no, it's just we're just gonna take that all, strip it down, and make it bare minimum scripted reality. Reality TV shows, stuff like that. And National Geographic. People always forget that one. Thank you, S Bubs. But yeah, I don't agree. I don't understand. I understand maybe if you take, okay, Kalar went really, really hard on streaming. I don't want to go as hard as him, but it's still valuable because I think it is still valuable. Every service has one, but it sounds like they're just ripping that. And again, it sounds like this is worse than the last regime to me. Not the one that was before Kalar, where you had people fucking exchanging sex for jobs and stuff like that, and the people that screwed Snyder at Justice League. It's somebody that was not a big fan of the direction we were going with Man of Steel and BVS. Still, when it was all said and done, as like them using his daughter as like a scapegoat, pretty shitty, and obviously some of those people still stuck around, and that cleared out some of these people. So maybe we got rid of some morally wrong people, but maybe we got worse business people, or maybe even some other morally wrong people. Hopefully that's not the case for it all, but yeah, it's interesting what happens in the next few months, because like James Gunn tweeted, Peacemaker safe. Peacemaker safe, guys, don't worry. Nothing's safe. And Gunn saying that, and the only thing that's safe, and then the only thing is the same way as, you remember when Nolan went to Universal, which we're going to talk about. He had the new contract of like, has to have this, and this, da. You're going to see that. The same way you start to see people put in their contract of, hey, I don't want this to go direct to streaming or stuff like that. You're going to get people that are like, I don't want, it can't be canceled. It can't be this, everything like that. I want to put hard work in it and actually see it. So maybe he has something like that. But yeah, John Hazelton, exactly. I'm sure the Batgirl directors thought they were safe last week. 100%. Now you can argue James Gunn has more clout. He's done things. But what if that just looks at it like, oh, Suicide Squad underperformed for me. Peacemaker, maybe he doesn't look, maybe that gets compared to other numbers and he's still like, oh, I don't know. Like with the Batgirl thing, it was unknown. So we technically could live in a world where Batgirl came out and bombed, right? And he could look like a genius. But with HBO Max, that's not bombing. They were gaining subs last year with this. It makes some pure money. To strip that all away, that's where it's like, who knows what it could be. So James Gunn, it's so funny where it's like, oh, James Gunn, I think is like a DC guy now because Warner Brothers, or he got treated bad at Marvel Disney, and it's just like, imagine if it gets the reverse where something bad happens at Warner Brothers and then he comes back to Marvel. He's just ping pong between two franchises. What I'm hoping is James Gunn will just make a fucking original project. That's what I want to see from him again. But alas, if they cut Peacemaker, we riot, and that would suck. But it's just like, I can't say anything for the most part safe. I can give you percentages of what I think is safe, like what's higher. I do think like Joker 2. I do think the Batman 2 is a safer one, but I can't say that. I can't give any of them 100%. And that's a scary thing. I can give almost everything Marvel 100% and at least the directors and cast before, but yeah, so that's going on. There's another rumor being put out that the Green Lantern show was canceled, and that happened months ago. No shit, that thing got announced like 10, 15 decades ago, and there's been nothing. Finn Wittrock, great casting. I'm not gonna get to see that. Green Lantern's just fucking 6 feet under, doing nothing, but not a big surprise, right? There's been no movement, and if it's one of these things where he doesn't want to bring up a budget as far as a TV show, it has to be certain, and even scripted drama, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, HBO Max, I think we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Maybe I'm already saying a lot of stuff that is going to be talked about, so it might just be a confirming thing that might not even be a main topic, but we'll definitely talk about the specifics and what they say. And yeah, it sucks. I don't know. I don't think it's actually going to affect me in Canada because I feel like we buy the stuff from Crave and bring it over, but Hines and Clay made a good point, and Clay was sharing this where Crave, Arcanine subscription, paid for HBO Max content, and in like the press release it was like for the DC and Harry Potter, like all those HBO made movies, stuff like that, the deal was for those. So it's like, if all of a sudden they're just pumping out reality TV and stuff, does that break that deal as far as like a legal issue? I would, if I paid somebody, if I go like, look at the podcast lines, Clay's in the chat. He comes to me and he says, you know what? I want to, I'm a wrestling fan. I wouldn't let him host a show, but I want a wrestling show one day, probably on GeekVerse me hosting. But let's say I couldn't do that. He said, I want to do a wrestling show. Okay, great. Paying Clay, sign him up. We're going to do a wrestling show. And he does it for a couple episodes, but then when I keep listening to it, it's a cooking show. I'm like, I paid for the wrestling show. But he's like, yeah, this is like cooking. It's wrestling themed, but it's cooking. It's like, that's not what the deal was. And I do wonder what legality is going to happen there. And maybe they just make enough shows. That's why they said mostly unscripted dramas, scripted reality. Maybe it's a case of Clay. You said, laugh my ass off. I used to watch it a lot. Well, hey, if you give up DC, maybe you'll get to watch it more. Triple H is running WWE. It's great so far. So you know what? One day in my life, I will have a wrestling podcast, and I can, maybe there'll be Clay, maybe there'll be a couple other people I talk to. I want to. I just don't have the time, but I love wrestling. People know, and I'll be talking about some wrestling later on this week on Trash Told You. But point is, maybe that's why they're still going to make some scripted drama so they can give some out, or do they just give them the HBO or the HBO channel stuff? I don't know. April Darkness is I'll join you on the Peacemaker riot, but if they do cancel Our Flag Means Death after making such a big deal about renewing it during Pride, that'll be the main villain of my my villain origin story. Still not seen it. I think I would like because I like Taika, but yeah, that's the thing where it's not even just like we said today. Like I said earlier, look at Little Ellen. Little Ellen show that got taken away. Nothing's safe. Anything could go at any point. Everything like that. So, Snail and Clay doing a wrestling podcast. Who's the villain? I think it depends on the week. I think it depends because I think we would like very different wrestling. But you never know in the future what could happen. But what's happening in the future is probably my next transition here. But I don't know what topic we're talking about yet. Oh, the quick hits. So the last one. So this is going to be let's take our last ad break and we're going to talk about just a bunch of random stuff going on. So we will be right back. And we're back. I almost forgot to take the drink there. Let's see. What if Crave gets Batgirl exclusively? I think I forgot to mention this in the beginning, Super Bad Mike. So I think you've probably seen this. You're just making a joke. But for people that don't know, if they do this tax write-off thing, they are never allowed to release Batgirl. They're never allowed to release Batgirl for monetized gain. So you could come to GeekVerse and say, hey, you can release Batgirl, no ads. Even then, I don't think it counts because YouTube will sometimes throw ads on things that are, because it's for their own money. So they would literally just have to put it on like a free Voodoo link or I don't know. Like you would have to. My hope is one day that it does get leaked, and even if it's unfinished, just leaked on Pirate Bay somewhere. I don't give a fuck. If they're releasing it, I hope it gets Deadpooled. The problem is with Deadpool and this. Deadpool was a test footage of one scene. This is a whole movie. If this leaked, there'd be a lot more legal ramifications. And Deadpool worked out because that was like, oh, we didn't make this movie. We should because we were liking this. This is the reverse of, oh, hey, we're not making this movie, but people are seeing it and we're making no money. Now you could say, well, you wrote off, but the idea is for them. It's like, no, we chose to lock it up, and that's the way. So if they do the tax write-off thing, we will probably never see Batgirl, like really ever. I don't even know if we made a documentary. I don't know if they could even show clips from it. I don't know if it's like the film in full or just in general. And that to me is such a shitty thing. Not even benching it for like, well, we just don't want to release for money, and who knows? It's just it'll have to hopefully leak, and I think it will at some point in the future. Just probably not anytime soon, but. Man, just fuck, that sucks. But yeah, it was a joke. Okay, Super Bad Mike. Don't worry. I figured, but there are some people that probably didn't know that if they do the tax write-off, Batgirl's gone forever. And again, I've said this before. It just sucks that you played Batgirl or you directed Michael Keaton and it's just locked away. Can never show it to anybody. I hope they at least have some sort of copy for somebody, something or like for themselves just to look at some things. So, yeah, a few weeks ago, the animatics for the canceled Jaron Tarosky Popeye movie leaked on Vimeo, and so, hey, it's happened sometimes. Yeah, and I hope it does here, but let's get into the quick hits. This is just a bunch of random little news. It's lots of Marvel news, actually, but random little news that I just talk about quickly. Wouldn't be a main topic, but here we go. Ryan Reynolds training for Deadpool 3 ? So I believe it was Ryan Reynolds' trainer that posted that, just said time to get ready, and it was like the double swords. So we don't know 100%, but it seems pretty likely that he's training for that. And I hope he is training for that because that means we could be shooting. Because I say this, and I hope it's going to happen at D23. I don't know if it is, but I say this every fucking time. I just want a Deadpool date. Now, nothing's locked in stone like that Avengers movie. I think will get delayed, but still, once it's dated, it's like, hey, it's on the phase, it's on the slate. So if it gets taken down, it's a much harder and bigger deal. So the fact that he's training, that's a good sign to me. And maybe they're just treating it like Spider-Man where, oh, we're just going to release it at any point. We'll figure that out later on. But him training, why else would you be training if you're not even close to filming? They got a director. They have him. They got to do casting. But I guarantee you so much cast has probably already happened, right? And thank you very much, S-Bubs. I was going to bring this up because Chris had shared this in my GOA chat. But if they're training, I feel like it has to be, or it's a cameo, or he has a scene in something. So that's where, even if it's just him playing Deadpool in the MCU, the second we get that, then I'm like, okay, boom, confirmed. That's happening. Great. I still think it is happening. So much has happened. The directors, the writers, lots of talk by Feige now. I'm less worried than I was years ago, but still, I just want him in there. And then it's like, okay, we're good to go, you know? This is hot off the presses. Patton Oswalt just said Eternals 2 is happening with Chloe Zhao directing. Now, I got to look at the link here because, yeah, Chris did send it to me. Let's see the full quote in detail. So he let that slip. It is one that I am surprised about. Honestly, I thought they might. They've never done the whole we're not going to do a sequel to this. They've always continued something. But I thought they might go a different route because it was their lowest rated movie. And I feel like it's a mixture one, but maybe Feige doesn't care, or he feels he made enough money, or he wants that. He wants a divisive movie because it does get talk. Now, it does not get as much talk as some of the DC divisive stuff, but still, like, you kind of have that. So, speaking with Al Roker, Al Oswalt publicly shared the announcement there's going to be Eternals sequel. Chloe Zhao is going to direct. They have announced there's going to be Eternals. See, he says they have announced there's going to be Eternals sequel. Chloe Zhao is going to direct, so hopefully there will be more adventures of Star Fox and Pip. So, now, it could not be true because I remember a long time ago, after it was in 2009, where Michael Caine said, yeah, they're working on the sequel, The Dark Knight. Johnny Depp's playing the Riddler, and Philip Seymour Hoffman is playing Penguin, which that Hoffman Penguin casting is fucking home run. Could have been some of the best comic book casting ever, right? That was complete bullshit, and he just heard that somewhere. So he could be completely wrong, just thinking like, oh yeah, it has been announced, or this is going to get announced at D23, and he's already thinking it's out there. Like I said, I guess if you would have asked me, do I think it happens? Yes, but I thought they would maybe change directors, change tones a little bit. But yeah, I don't. April Darkness is a misunderstood masterpiece. Oh, April, it's not. I know your name's April, but it's not April Fool's Day today. Don't say stuff like that. But no, I will not have much excitement for it. I will see it. I'll see all this comic book stuff, but I'm always down. There's things I liked in Eternals. I did not fail Eternals, so I'm open to that world still. I'm just not a Chloe Zhao fan. I think it's Chloe Zhao actually. I'm not a big fan of even the movie she directed that won Oscar. It was not for me. I thought that shouldn't happen. So could become more than just Eternals, like Captain Marvel turned into the Marvels, 100%. And if she's down for that, I could see that happening. So apparently Patton Oswalt's putting out there that Eternal 2 is happening with Chloe. So there you go. Some quick hits there. This one's an interesting. She-Hulk is moving to Thursdays. So, we originally had Disney Plus shows on Friday. They moved to the Wednesday, and I think this is a direct response to the Obi-Wan Miss Marvel thing. Now, I think there's other reasons why Miss Marvel didn't perform the greatest, and not because it's bad, just it's a lesser-known character. I think it just showed the trailers made it feel very kiddie, so I don't think that's the exact argument of like you could have put Loki and Obi-Wan, and I think you would have had Loki doing much better. It wouldn't be like, oh, Obi-Wan stifled or Loki stifled the other one. But I do think they finally were like, hey, this seems dumb. They try, and remember, we for so long were like, oh, they never were overlapping the shows. And Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel was the first time. So I think this was just an experiment. And I think they finally go, you know what? Not worth that experiment. And maybe this is an experiment too. If maybe they'll put it there and see if it's the same. If it's the same, they go, I'll just put them all on Wednesdays. If it's different, they'll go, oh, this was a great idea. But now instead of August 17th, we're getting She-Hulk one day later on August 18th. That's going to be dropping Thursday. So expect those Wednesday minute reviews. And then Andor, when it comes September 21st, will be dropping the Wednesday. So the Tuesday at midnight. So I'm all for this. I've been saying this for a while of like, do multiple days, like just change it up a little bit, So I really don't think that it's a bad idea. It's not going to, it would hurt. I think it only strengthens it. If there is a case, if there was a time where for some reason people tuned on and they saw Obi-Wan watch and forgot about Miss Marvel, there's a chance. I think it's still a small percentage. I think people are smart enough to go, oh, I got 2 episodes of this way we binge stuff, but still, there's a chance of people that are general audience, maybe they forgot about it, and I'll get to it, and they never went back to it, right? Where if She-Hulk is the only big thing on Disney Plus on Thursdays, makes it more appointment TV. Same as Andor. So I think this is great. It just makes sense. I'm happy as a podcaster, Superman Mike. They don't want to overwork the midnight live streamers. 100%. Fourth wall breaking. This makes it so much easier for us, though, as far as we're not sure if we're doing a midnight for both nights. We're discussing about that, but just having it on 2 separate days, great for coverage, great for extra content and stuff. So for me, personally, I'm happy from a viewer standpoint and like the small business of GeekVerse standpoint as well. So to me, it's great, but I got a question here because obviously you can tune in live and you can send in questions. But if you're not live, you can head over to Patreon at any tier. You can send in a question for any topics or create a topic. But Summer Hansey says, how do you think She-Hulk is going to do compared to Moon Knight and Miss Marvel's viewership? Right in the middle. And I think, Summer, I'm probably going to bring this up when we get closer. We'll do a She-Hulk predictions. I'm going to ask that again because I want to know overall what people think. And I have to think about where it will go overall. But if even right now, if I'm saying that, Moon Knight did better than Hawkeye. Hawkeye before Miss Marvel was the Disney. My fucking God, Travis. I'm going to take a drink after I butchered that sentence right there. Moon Knight came out, beat Hawkeye, right? At that point, Hawkeye was the lowest MCU from Sama numbers, right? So it's just we don't get all of them, but it's like an estimate. It was the lowest thing. Miss Marvel came out, that's now the lowest. I actually I thought I was going to say Moon Knight would beat it. I think it's going to be very close. I think I could see a case where She-Hulk's beating it because you have She-Hulk is a character that's new. I think it's fun, exciting. I think with Bruce actually being in the show helps. And I think they were smart to show that Daredevil cameo because I think that does drive a little interest. So you know what? I might be regretting. I think it's going to be really close. I could actually see them. Oh, because maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think it's Falcon and Winter Soldier and Moon Knight that have like the exact same Sama numbers. There's one show that from like the premiere, and what they do is like it's either the first 3 days or the first week, like this is how many people watch it. There's some shows that have the same. I could see She-Hulk and Moon Knight having the exact same number. So I'm actually going to say that. If not, if I have to go one way or another, I'll say a little bit over because you got Daredevil, She-Hulk, which is just like an adjacent to Hulk, an established character. I think the gimmick of the lore thing could work, and then Hulk, I think it's going to push it over. Where it goes overall for a beat Moon Knight, I have to look, but I think it has a chance. But Moon Knight had great trailers and had Oscar Isaac, had a great lead up and everything like that. So the She-Hulk cameos are going to raise the hype. Absolutely. Cameos always help with that. When you get the whole who's in this, what's going on, that helps any project. So I agree with you there, Superbad Mike. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to answer that again on Geek First when we do our predictions because I want to get their thoughts. And so that's where I am. A tie with Moon Knight or just beating it? Let's see. Yeah, because I actually want to watch it now from the first trailer Comic-Con. And I agree as far as I've liked all the marketing, so I'm on the other side. But I've seen a lot more people excited for it after that second trailer. And I'm so stoked. Yeah, it's one day, so it sucks. But it's like, it's so close. And I'm very it's up there. Like not in the S tier endgame level, but just for new projects, it's similar to I was gonna say Moon Knight, but no, my hype for Moon Knight got so high because I just love Moon Knight. There's a Moon Knight graphic novel over there, nice wrapped up, that I'm gonna be rereading here in a little bit. So I loved Moon Knight, but I think I got less excited as time went on because I just heard things. But She-Hulk, I'm getting more excited. So we'll see. Let's see. I think for premiere it'll beat Moon Knight, and yeah, that's the way I'm leaning to. I said a tie, but if I had to go, I can't pick the middleman. Can't be Kirklin Patzer. I think it would beat it. So. Let's see. The Daniels signed a 5-film exclusive deal with Universal. So Daniels, if you don't know who they are, they did Swiss Army Man, but then the phenomenal, what I think might be the greatest movie of all time, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That came out this year, blew everyone away, and also box office away as far it made $100 million. It's A24's biggest film. I'm of two minds of this, and I'm going to tie into S-Bubs has a Patreon question as well. I'm of two minds where I knew it was bound to happen. The Daniels set to direct Fast 11. I'd fucking love that. But they had to make it like low budget, not like give them the big budget. But I think it was bound to happen, and it's probably been in the works for a while. But it was like the second that film crossed 100 million, I was like, fuck, like they're gonna get scooped up here. What's interesting about it, and one thing that's sad about it, is that probably it won't be for a while that Daniels makes anything for A24. And I thought that was a perfect fit. And I wish there was a way that they could have. I know A24 isn't the biggest studio, but just locked them down. So that's disappointing. And that's always my worry is when they get in the studio system that they won't get that same creative, you know, freedom. Now you could argue that's why Universal's brought them on, right, to do that. But it could be like, well, we're a big company and we want you to make a film this way, and we like your idea, but this is our film. What we just saw with fucking Warner Bros. Right? So my worry is they get less range, but I think what helps it is Universal also got Nolan, and this is the thing that S. Bubs had brought up, and I'll bring up this question right now about Neon. And Neon, they made Parasite. That was another like kind of Swiftering the Nation, huge movie. You go and look at their films; they have a bunch of ones. They have that horror film coming out with Hunter Schafer and Dan Stevens. I cannot wait to see her in something other than Euphoria. But Neon's putting out some really good shit too. There's like A24 gets all the hype, but I feel like Neon still does not get enough of it and deserves it. But he said the distributor of Neon is said to be exploring a sale. Which studio do you think will acquire? I think it could be Apple, as they've been turning Apple Plus into a hub for prestige movies and TV. I think you're hit the nail on the head, but I also still think that Universal is a really good slot for that. I hope they still let them be a real weird, and that's the thing, right? Where we're gonna see it. No one to Universal, and I was surprised because I thought Disney might scoop him up just for give him some contracts and whatnot. But he went to Universal, and it looks like they're fucking giving him Oppenheimer in summer. So I think they're with they're with Nolan and what he wants to do. I don't know if that's the right call for that movie, but they're doing it. So yeah, can they stay weird? That's the hope, right? And that's where I think Neon could fit there, because I think Universal got Nolan. They got the Daniels down. I could see them getting Neon in the same way, like as I was saying, Apple TV Plus trying to be more prestigious. Absolutely, they're going for that, right? They're going for this is the best quality, almost what HBO used to be or HBO Max could have been. They're going for that, so Neon could fit there. Absolutely, I wouldn't be surprised. But Universal, I think, if they are committed to, let's say they let Nolan do their thing, and the Daniels come in, they pitch something similar to Everything Everywhere All at Once or Swiss Army Man. They're like, great, here's the budget. Do what you please. Just make us a fucking good movie. That's all the hope. Like, make us a fucking good movie. And like, okay, we're going to do that. I could see Universal going after Neon if they're trying to buff it up. If they're trying to make a bigger play for, we don't want to just be the big blockbuster, company, that's making all these things. We want to have a prestige level. Because I feel like Universal's put out some good movies, but I feel like they've never been that prestige studio like Warner Brothers was at one point, or even like a Paramount. I think back in the day, yeah, probably not so much now. I think they're more blockbuster, but still, if they want to be like that and getting those awards, getting that talent, they could make a play, especially when Warner Brothers in shambles right now. And I think Disney kind of has their idea of who they work with and who they don't work with. So I think it's possible. So so it makes me a little sad about the Daniels thing, but I'm on a wait and see thing. I'll be sad when I see the first one, and it's something where I remember it's not even because he said it wasn't the studio, but I feel like he was being nice. For Robert Eggers, like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever make a studio film again. He said because it was so big and time consuming, but it just also felt like he was like, yeah, like, I don't know if I want to work in a system like this again, and that's where I don't want the Daniels to be in 5 pictures. I get it. They're probably paying some good money or getting some good money. Yeah, go get it. You made this great film. Absolutely. Do it. But 5 films, that's a lot. And if it's not going on, obviously you can break a contract if you both agree and stuff like that. But 5 films to be narrowed down for. And I guess it's like a first look too, right? Because they could also go off to other places. So this is a wait and see. And I'm going to be hopeful about it. I'm going to hope that they saw everything and just went, okay, do that, but for us, and we could even give you a bit more budget, which they don't even need it, because Everything Ever All at Once has like not a very small budget, but a smaller budget, and it looks better than most like $200 million movies. It really does. So I'm really excited. But now Pickens, I think I saw you in the chat. I see in the chat. I'm going to tease you a little bit. I'm holding that Boyega story till tomorrow. You know why? Because I realize that Star Wars Alliance is going live in 15 minutes, and I got to get their StreamYard link up. So I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to go overtime. I hate fucking wrestling. Like apparently what happened at SummerSlam is Logan Paul and The Miz went over, so they cut minutes off the women's match. Absolutely not. And last shout out to S-Bubs. Absolutely. Like Fox Searchlight? Yes, which is just what? I think it's just Searchlight now, but Yeah. Yes. Pickens, I apologize. I know you tweeted it out, but I promise you tomorrow I'm going to cover. I'm going to talk about that and AEW. So we're going to have some fun. But yeah, I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to, like I said, with wrestling thing, I don't want to cut their time. I don't want to be, 10 more minutes. No. I don't want to do that. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back tomorrow. Thank you to everyone in the chat. It was good to see some people like April. I haven't seen you in the chat for a while, and I get it because people work and have lives. So I always love when people pop in that I haven't seen for a little bit. But thank you everybody that's been supporting the show and the downloading of it. I really appreciate it because never really know. I'm doing a show in the middle of the day where I live, and I'm doing it solo. And people could have not given a fuck, so I very much appreciate it. You good, bro. Thank you very much, Pickens, for the approval. So I hope everyone has a good day. I'll be back tomorrow with the last episode of the week for Trash Told You, and there'll be GeekVerse news as well. And I promise you, it'll not be boring. See ya.